All right, it's time to break on through to the other side. Let some people get in. There we got a couple.
We're sideways on here.
Are we?
It takes a minute for it to catch up.
Okay. You catching up?
Now it is.
Now it's still sideways, isn't it?
Yeah, you're gonna
Well, as always, in the life of old JC, I could film sideways last week, but I can't this week. Okay. All right. Let's see. There we go. So it's time to break on through to the other side. And this week, this Friday, joining me, the unimpeachable president for life, the unimpeachable FLOTUS for life, the lovely, my better half, my sunshine on a cloudy day, the lovely Miss Clayton. Mwah. Now, you may be wondering why I got her on here. Well, I know you guys will enjoy the break from looking at me for almost an hour, even though I can't imagine why. But
I'm here to read your comments and keep him posted on what's going on.
well, it's a little more than that. Today's different. Today is a Q&A. That means question and answer. You ask questions, I give answers. I'll answer anything. You can ask about anything. I don't care. Ask it. What she's going to do is write down your questions while we're talking, and then when it's time for the Q&A, she will read the questions to me, and I want to answer.
They can barely hear you.
Huh?
Somebody said they can barely hear you.
How's that? Is that any better? Sound better? Someone tell me about the sound. Adam Wolf, how we doing audio wise? Tell me something. You got to tell me something. I mean, I won't say anything then. Dean Assange, how's the sound? Tell me something.
Better.
Okay, can you hear?
Can you hear me now?
All right, Cindy. Cindy says sound is good, so we're going with Cindy.
Brian said it's good too.
Okay, here we go.
I think there might be a little bit of a delay in the comments from when you say something, because when I'm looking at it on my screen, it's like about a 10-second delay.
Oh, okay. I mean, the fact that I'm even doing this on the goddamn cell phone should be a major. If some of you knew me better, it would be a major surprise for you, because I'm going to tell you what. I hate these things. I hate them. Don't I hate them, baby?
Yes, you do. Loudly.
So what she's going to do is write your questions down so I don't have to go scrolling through here, because I always mess something up and I miss everybody. So go ahead and start with your questions now. And Dave, I see you're in here. Dave Preno, you're in here. You wrote me a really interesting question, and I wish you would write it again on here, because I want to get it exactly the way you worded it. All right, I got a few things here. We've got a good amount of people in. When I started doing this, you know, we started doing it just to have something to keep to keep the communication going with you guys and us, since we're not able to go out and play live. And to be honest with you, I don't think 2020 is going to see any live shows, to be honest with you. And I'm hearing that from a lot of people that do this for a living. So I don't know. But I got some big. What kind of news do I got, huh? Big? It's big, right?
Bigly?
Big! Big league news. That I'm going to give you right before we sign off. See, I know how to do a damn show. I'm not going to give you everything right now so y'all can tune out and go, I don't listen to this guy talk for an hour. No, you got to wait. Oh, now we're losing the damn internet.
Keep going.
Okay. Hey, well, listen, if we get knocked off here, just wait a second and I will restart another one, to finish. So we're getting all kind of problems here today. So, okay, just bear with us. But anyway, since we started doing this, I have been able to stay in touch with a lot of the past members. Not only the members that I work with now, but a lot of the past members have gotten back in touch, and we were talking about stuff. I had Bill on here a few episodes ago. The other day, I was in touch with Steve Sadler. You may remember him, the drummer from the Southern Hostility period, which is where our history lesson is going to end up today. And Steve's, there is a cassette tape Joe and I looked for probably 25 years. We know it existed, but we never could find it. I knew exactly what kind of tape it was on and everything. What it was is we would practice down at a catfish farm down in South Carolina back when Steve was in the band. It was a place that he provided, so that he wouldn't have to, or so he had a place to stay when he was driving, back and forth from Myrtle Beach. And we had a 4-track there, which we recorded a few things. And do you remember the single we did, a German single? There were only 300 copies of, called "The Witch." And on the other side, we did "Today Your Love," going into "I Don't Ask You for Nothing." That was recorded at the fish farm. Well, we were also practicing up to do the Rocky Erickson tribute that we did, the Evil Ones record. And what we remember was we did 2 demos for the Rocky song called "The Singing Grandfather." And I just remembered that when the Evil Ones came out, when all was said and done with it, that I remembered those demo versions being far superior to the one that was released on the record. And I always hoped to put them out on something, but now that those hopes have been answered. Steve contacted me the other day and said, "Man, I found that tape." We were talking about this when Steve was with us, laying down vocals for the Christmas record, and man, sure enough, that stuff was in my P.O. box the very next day, and I got to listen to it, and man, my memory was correct. It was far superior to what was actually released. And another thing I realized, and I said this to Steve too, is like, man, me and Steve, we really sang well together. You know, our voices are different, but he really harmonizes with me good. And the only other person in the band that I think sings well with me was my brother Greg. And so yeah, in some way, shape, or form, you're going to be able to hear this. I don't know. We may do a re-release of the old ones. Maybe do a couple new Rocky songs with the lineup we have now. What do y'all think of that? It'll be all right. Okay. Through the Southern Hostility times, you know, this is where we ended up in Europe for the first time, and we did that full U.S. tour. We probably did the most extensive touring ever for that. Well, no, not ever. I think when Eat More Possum came out, we did even more. But a Southern Hostility wasn't just the attitude of the band, man. It was just like what was happening, you know, around us. I just always. Now, I don't mean to put anyone on the spot, and if either of these band members feel like I'm off base, feel free to say something now, or we'll talk about it at some other time. But I just kind of always felt there was a real big tension between Tom and Steve, especially. And I mean, we worked well together. Sometimes that tension is good. It brings out creativity, I have found sometimes. But I just remembered at one particular show at the Mad Monk in Wilmington, Tom had amp trouble. We were at sound check and Tom's amp went out, and you know, Steve was also a technician. Not only was a sound tech and a drummer, and I mean, who knows what else he could do. He's a very talented guy, but you know, he was also mechanical. You know, he could fix the problems when it went on, and he had some kind of tension with Tom, and he told Tom he'd fix it, but Tom was going to have to pay him because he was a technician now, not just a drummer. You know, and that, I don't know. I guess that didn't settle well with any of us, and I don't know. I mean, maybe through the long distance, you know, and all that, it always kind of felt kind of strained, especially toward the end of Steve's time. But I just remember walking across the Mad Monk that night, and the opening group was a group called Skullbuckle that my brother was drummer for. I've never seen my brother play drums, and I watched him play during sound check. And I remember I was walking with, I think I was walking with Jeff Young, who was doing our merchandise at the time, and I think I was with Russ Ward. I think Russ was at this show with us. And I just looked up at the stage, and I pointed at Greg. I said, "That's the next ANTiSEEN drummer right there." And that's how that turned out. But like I said, everything between all of us is good now. You know, that was a long time ago. We were young. We were hostile. Now we're all adults. Well, some of them are. Maybe not me, but that's how the transition went from the Southern Hostility lineup into the Eat More Possum lineup. But we didn't know it was called the Eat More Possum lineup yet. That's going to come when I talk to you guys on Tuesday. We'll talk about the beginnings of the Eat More Possum. But I was asked a question in private this week, I think on Instagram. Which, if you guys want to see my Instagram page, it's ANTiSEEN JC on Instagram. It doesn't have much news about the band. All I do on there is I celebrate a culture and a time that we love, we were part of. And I don't know, one day I'll give you a tour around this house, and you'll see that me and the missus still live. But that's what my Instagram page is. It's fun. Just go on there. You know, you see a lot of great pictures from bygone days, and there's a lot of ANTiSEEN stuff on there too. But someone asked me to verify a story. It was someone from Boston or the Boston area, and they wanted to know, man, we heard a story that you guys pulled a shotgun on a tow truck driver up here one time. That story is true. We did 3 or 4 shows with the group that was on Sub Pop called Seaweed. They're really cool guys. They're a good band. We liked their alias band. Do you know what their alias band was? The Fuckers. A couple of members of Seaweed were the Fuckers. I don't know if I'm supposed to give that secret out after all these years. I'm surely everyone knows that. But if it didn't, oh, you heard it here first. But we played a few shows with them. And we were playing at the Middle East Cafe up in Boston. Now, I think on one of these shows, I told you about the first time we played the Middle East. The first time we played up there, and you know, we had all the technical problems. I had a fever of like 102 or something. I may have had coronavirus, but that was the first time we played the Middle East, and we played the top part. I guess the part that they still do shows. I don't know. It's been forever since I've been there, but we were playing in the downstairs part that looked more like a proper, you know, concert hall, and we used to drive this this half bus. I've talked about that before too. The half bus we got from Jimmy Repo, which I think he gladly donated to the cause to help us spread the word to all the people throughout the land. And we had it parked down the street, and man, it was like this a long time ago, but I don't know if it's like it now. But man, there's nowhere to park up there where you won't get towed or ticketed or something. Well, I also told you about when we pulled into L.A. during the riots. We made sure that shotgun was ready to go. Man, we carried that shotgun everywhere. It was just a little 20 gauge, but I mean, it would do what it needed to do, you know. And which we weren't looking for trouble. We were just looking for ways to protect ourselves. Because usually someone slept in the van back in those days. But it was it was Joe all the time. Joe always slept in the van. But Joe was asleep in the van, and and man, they hooked up. A tow truck came and hooked up. Now, you know, Tom O'Keefe can talk about this on. Oh, I gotta tell you, Tom's gonna do a show on Thursday. Tom O'Keefe is gonna do his own show on this page Thursday at 5 o'clock. So, yeah, be looking for that. But Tom saw this with his own eyes. I didn't. I saw the aftermath. But all I know is they knew the wrecker was hooking up to the bus. Joe was inside the bus. The guy didn't know it. Well, man, when they start cranking that thing up, and I think they're going down the road. I mean, like Tom is chasing the thing down the road. He finally gets the guy to stop, and Joe comes out of the bus with that shotgun, and he tells the guy, "You better put this fucking bus down, man." And the guy's like, "Whoa, whoa." They could have called the cops, but they didn't. I mean, I guess that's back when men were men. You could pull a gun on a man, not shoot him, and he'd be happy you didn't shoot him. Yep, the old days. When there wasn't a lawyer involved in everything you tried to do. But, yeah. And those guys from Seaweed were just like, "What the fuck? You guys pulled a gun on it?" And then as we were leaving town and everyone was outside the club, Joe stuck that gun out the window at them like that. Joe was always doing kind of dumb stuff like that. But, and those guys were just like shaking their heads like, "These motherfuckers, man, that ain't no act. They are fucking nuts." So, that was the ANTiSEEN history and shotguns. There's more, but it needs to be told in its proper time frame. And, well, I guess it's Q&A time. So, if you would, stop the questions now. The missus is going to read them, and I'm going to answer them. She's going to tell who they're from. Go ahead, man.
All right, the first one is from Jeff Williams. At what point or moment did it dawn on you that you had been accepted in the metal community?
Well, Jeff, that would have probably happened around, I would say, 94, 95, 96. Charlotte went through a very big resurgence of a local scene, for lack of a better word. There were bands of different genres, different ilks, and man, we played together, and man, the shows were always packed. You know, it was like, this is when we met groups like Chronic Disorder, Seducer, you know, and we shared 2 members with Seducer, and so at one point they just became members of ANTiSEEN, and the crowds intertwined. I mean, I don't know if I'm sure they would have preferred we had a little more chugga 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 and some deedle deedle deedle, but they liked our energy. They liked our show, you know, and the show was always confrontational. The crowds were always nuts, and man, it just blended right in. Yes, Brian, we used to play with Bloody Mary, Seducer, Chronic Disorder. Let me think of some more.
Amos Moses wants to know if you ever played with Fetch and Bones.
Did we ever play? The first show we ever played was with Fetch and Bones. It was their first show too. And down the road we played 1 or 2 more times together. But after they got really big and we got really famous, we didn't really play together anymore. But I still like Hope and Aaron a lot. I haven't seen Aaron in many decades, but I see Hope occasionally. But anyway, that scene was really tight, and a lot was going on, you know, and that was when that metal crowd really kind of started embracing us. You remember that time? You were actually part of it. Yeah, October, you know, like all those bands. We were all playing together. Yeah, what's the next one?
I'm not doing these in order, so don't think your question has gotten left out. It's gotten skipped, but I'll get back to it. But this next question kind of blends in with what you just answered. Dave Robbins wanted to know, were there punk bands in your area that influenced you?
You've heard me talk about the Streets. The Streets were such an influence on this band, and man, if you guys are ever able to find their record, it's called Streets Living Theater. I have talked about starting my own label at some point, but I want it to be a reissue label. I want to reissue stuff that's really important to me that I feel, you know, would get a second life if it was put out by now. And some of this Streets and the Scott Savage stuff is stuff that I want to put out. Now, musically, it has nothing to do with what ANTiSEEN does. But the Streets had punk rock attitude before we even knew what to call it. It was there. And seeing those early street shows was such an influence. And man, getting to work alongside with people like Mike Hendricks, who the first time I ever stepped foot in the Milestone was to see Black Flag in 1981 on the Damage tour. And Saccharine Trust was their traveling opening band, and they had one local opening band. And that local opening band was No Rock Stars, which Mike Hendricks was a member of that band. Tim Connard, both friends of mine on here and friends of mine in life. Mark Stowe, who is no longer with us, was a very charismatic front man. And
to say the least.
Yeah.
24/7.
Yeah, that was no act either.
No.
Okay, so I've even had a discussion with Mad Brother Ward. Now you talk about the stuff that's coming out. I've had a talk with Mad Brother Ward. We're talking about maybe doing a record of some No Rock Stars songs and getting Mike and Tim to play with us. So if this news gets to you guys, we got that in the planning stages down the road somewhere, and I hope you guys will accept. So yeah, the streets, No Rock Stars, big influences on us. What's next, huh?
Let's see. Brad Irwin, was there any band you were nervous to play with? Like maybe a band that was like your heroes?
How would you feel if someone told you you're going to Germany and Negative Approach is going to open for you? Yeah, we didn't. We were just like, goddamn. Negative Approach was one of my favorite bands from that when I got into early hardcore, and and I'd seen them. We played with them a few times, but we were always opening for them, And when I saw, ANTiSEEN with opening band Negative, I called write the promoter, man, do you think Negative Approach should maybe headline? And they're like, nah, Negative Approach plays over here all the time. You guys are the ones people are excited to see, and we're just like, okay. So there you go. Yeah, man, we played with the Ramones, and we were nervous. We were so nervous, we played so fast that we pissed off their stage manager. He's like, what are you guys are killing me. You told me 40 minutes, and it was 25. So, yeah, we were nervous playing for the Ramones. We played, and it's like, I don't know if nervous is really the word. I've never really been nervous. It's just that sometimes you play with someone and you're just excited. You're excited, and I guess you do feel a little nervous because you want to make sure you do a good job and leave a good impression. We opened for David Allan Coe one time, and I knew Coe wasn't going to be sitting in there watching us, but it's just, I kind of wondered how that audience would accept us, but they accepted us just fine. And we played with some bigger, crazy mix matches, yeah. Jerry A. or Jerry Bulimic? What are you asking me, Jeff? Yeah, playing with Poison Idea. Getting to do this record with Jerry A., which, man, we're hoping it would be out anytime soon. They're having a hell of a time getting all the pieces they need for this thing at Cascade, but man, it's coming out, and you guys are going to dig it. I really think so. I hope that answered your question. Next, Phoebe?
Next question. Lewis Murray wants to know what your favorite Kiss album is. That's a hard question.
Man, that is hard. Man, yeah.
That's a hard one for me too.
I guess if you're talking studio albums, it would have to be like a tie between Rock and Roll Over and Hotter Than Hell. But if I was talking to somebody who's like, man, I never heard Kiss, man, what's the thing I should listen to? I would give them Alive. And go, man, if you don't like any of this, you ain't gonna like Kiss. Simple. See? So that's my answer.
Okay, Chris Martin wants to know what your favorite ape movie is.
Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, number 4. That's my favorite. I like it because the apes refused to be slaves. They refused to be bent to the will of their masters, and they rose up. Can you dig it? Next.
All right, Jeff Martin wants to know, what album are you the most proud of?
Jeff, before I answer Jeff Martin's question, I want to tell you a little something about Jeff Martin. You know, a lot of people have tried to imitate the Joe Young guitar sound. And, you know, there's, as Jeff, I mean, I knew what had to be done to get it. But see, Jeff was playing on a ANTiSEEN tribute. There's been 2. And Jeff was playing on one of these with Buzz Crusher, a great band that he used to play in, that we played with many times. And man, he told me, he's like, when we did this, man, he goes, I figured it out. You know, it's Telecaster using the 1 pickup, twin reverb. He told the right pedal. You can have all that, and you're about there. But then there's that way that Joe strummed, man. He's very unorthodox. Jeff Martin picked every bit of that out. Matter of fact, he probably hipped me to some of that. I mean, I knew the basics of it because I kind of put it all together and said, Joe, we'll do this. So, you know. But Jeff Martin did that. But what was the question, Jeff? What was the album of ours I'm most proud of?
Yeah.
I would have to say I am the most proud of Here to Ruin Your Groove, because I felt like that was the one that that when we had it on the drawing board, it came out as well as it was supposed to. Like it was our vision came to life 100%. A lot of time the projects kind of go off on a trail of their own, and then things kind of flip around and do something else, you know. But yeah, Here to Ruin Your Groove is the one I'm the most proud of. You got another one for me there, Girly?
I do. Will Tanner wants to know, could you ever see a solo career and playing as a frontman for a different band?
Well, Will,
in other words, are you Gene Simmons?
Well, Will, I'm half the front lineup of Judas Bullethead, and I was once the front man for the infamous Murder Junkies, who now have that spot filled by Mr. P.P. Duvet, who is doing an excellent job. And I don't know. I mean, I want to say I also did a R&B thing with a group called the O-Getters once, which I really enjoyed doing that, because as a lot of you who do know me, you know how much I love that kind of music, and how much I love that kind of music. And eventually, there were some people like my brother and Steve Wenzel from the Dead Kings and all that I would really love to get together and play some of that kind of music with. So yeah, it's going to happen. But I'm really happy with my spot as the lead mischief maker in ANTiSEEN. Next.
Okay. Dave Robbins wants to know, how hard was it for you guys to play locally when you first started out?
Well, when we first started out, it wasn't too bad. It was after we got a few under our belts when it started becoming difficult. That's when, you know, when you blow up enough gunpowder flash pots and burn people's curtains and knock chunks out of their stage and damage their PA and break a few of their chairs and their play. Yeah, you start getting told your services are no longer required.
Mr. Jeff Gavin wants to know, did you ever see bad brains in a basement?
Dude! I saw that question pop up, and I almost laughed my ass off right there. That's an inside joke. Me and Gavin used to ride around with the Cosmic Commander, and Cosmo would tell you stories, and they never remember that he told them to you, and he'd say, "Dude, I saw the bad brains in a fucking basement, yo!" And so we'd be in the car with him and go, "So Cosmo, you ever seen the bad brains?" "Dude!" And he would do that as many times as we'd ask it until we started laughing, and then he knew he was being duped. But I have seen the bad brains. Wasn't in the basement.
All right, this is a long one.
Okay.
From David Preno. I
Hey,
hope I'm getting your name right.
Speak up, man. I'm going to hear you.
Dave Preno. I hope I'm getting your last name right. Was working with Gigi, a double-edged sword in a way. On one hand, more people got exposed to ANTiSEEN. Put on the other, must have taken time for newcomers to get ANTiSEEN. Was one thing with a rich history.
Yeah, Dave, that's a very good question, and you are correct. It was a double-edged sword that had its pros and it had its cons. Well, as a bunch of you know, a lot of that subject matter on the record we did with Gigi is stuff we didn't believe at all. You know, kill the police, assassinate the president, all that stuff. We aren't about all that. But we got to do a record with Gigi Allen, so he could have sang whatever he wanted to. We'd have gone right along with it, I guess. But yeah, there were times when it would get real frustrated because that would be the only reason anyone would want to talk to us. You know, tell us about Gigi, especially in Europe. Gigi, you know. And we're like, God damn, you know, we were together many years before we did the record with Gigi. So that was 91. We were together 8 years. You know, we've done a lot of shit. That's why Gigi, you know, well, because of our friendship, he wanted to do the record with us. Which, you know, in one of these shows, I'm gonna go in complete detail about recording that record. And let me tell you, it is a story. It's not just 5 guys walked into a studio. No, it's not that. So stay tuned. But a good question, Dave. Yeah, it was a dual-edged sword. But I mean, hindsight, being the person I am now, yeah, I do not regret having done that record at all. It's a proud moment for me, and it's a part of permanent Gigi history and lore. And I was very happy to be part of it when all's said and done.
What is Greg Crawford wants to know the worst venue you've ever played. And worse how?
Oh, damn. The worst. Man, here's something. We played the Lost Well in Austin, Texas, and I love the stage of that place and the energy of that place and all, but those bathrooms fucking suck. That was the most fucked up shit I've ever seen in my life. But I don't know, man. Some venues can be really fun and have a real good energy about them, and you know, a real good sound and stuff. But you know, it smelled like a goddamn, you know, a New York City subway in 1972 or something. You know, and others can be really nice. And you know, those real nice ones are the ones that I kind of feel out of place in. But I don't know. I guess I would have to stop and really think about that one a little harder. I'm sorry I can't be more precise about that. We played a lot I know we played some places in Poland that I hope are now bulldozed, but I don't know. What's the next one?
Mark Triplet wants to know, can you tell us any stories about Ruby and what's going on with her now?
Now I assume you're talking about Ruby from Ruby Get Back to the Hills?
Yes.
Well, I spoke about her on the last break on through. Her name is Miss Janice Blythe, and she played in Hills 1 and 2, Eaten Alive, Incredible Melting Man. She's got a lot of good credits under her belt, and from what I understand now, she has a cable access show out in California. I don't know exactly what it's about, but I just got in touch with her because I wanted to give her some of the ANTiSEEN shirts we had with Ruby on them, and she was very happy to get those, very thrilled. She says she tells everyone about ANTiSEEN and Hank 3 and the song about Ruby, and she wrote about us in the liner notes to a reissue of The Hills Have Eyes, and that was quite an honor for us. But from what I understand, she's doing great. She wants to get into the circuit of, things like Mad Monster Party and Days of the Dead and stuff like that, and come back out to the East Coast and, meet all the Hills Have Eyes fans and all, because there's a lot of us, and I think she would do well. I mean, we'll just see how those kind of events plan out after all this horse shit we're having to deal with right now.
A gentleman by the name of Kai Schroeder. Will ANTiSEEN come back to Europe after the difficulties of the last tour?
Okay, I really hope we are. I think we will. I mean, there's probably a few clubs that probably won't want to deal with us anymore, but and I'll tell you guys what happened. We did we played I Don't Like You, and I made a few jokes that I thought were jokes, but Germans don't have a sense of humor, and so some kids that wanted to say they were part of Antifa got on and got a bunch of our shows canceled. Ended up it was only like 3 or 4 kids, man, but you know what? They can kiss our fucking ass. At every club that won't book us anymore, you can kiss our ass. We'll be back. Even if we don't play nowhere but the Pits in Belgium and the Bastard Club in Osnabrück. That's what we'll do. Oh, yeah. Well, the missus had to step out for a second. Let me look at a question here. Mike Thrower wants to know, favorite reggae artist, roots, old school? Yes, included funk and R&B. Yes, yes, Mike Thrower. I love all kinds of music. Now I don't say I love all music. I don't love all music, but I love a wide array of music. I first got into reggae, like most of us on here probably did, from listening to The Clash and reading interviews with The Clash and finding out where it all came from, and I grew up in a small town, so there wasn't a lot of Rastafari walking around New London, North Carolina,
and read my handwriting. I can't believe it. My chicken scratch.
And so, of course, the next step would have been Bob Marley, which then, it all kind of spread out. Then you learn about Peter Tosh, Bunny Wailer, Jimmy Cliff, guys like that, and then, when you start liking a music like that, like I did, you start digging deeper and deeper. You find out about groups like Culture, what's his name? Jacob Miller. I can't. Mine's drawing a blank right now. But man, I really I really found that in the last few years I have been listening to a whole lot of Gregory Isaacs. I really like that guy a lot, and there's not a whole lot of it I've heard that I just absolutely do not like at all. But Gregory Isaacs is a favorite, and I really love Peter Tosh's solo stuff. Yes, I like Toots and the Maytals too, and Oswald and Steel Pulse, you know, all those English groups, you know. I love all that stuff. All right, what we got now?
Ryan Rogers, can we expect to hear a new recorded version of Ooga Booga Man of songs?
No, there probably won't be a new one. We'll probably leave it. But, I don't know. May hear us play it one day. I'm able to do... We're able, like... with this lineup of the band, we have zero limitations. And we can... Anything we want to do, we can do. And if I tell the guys, hey, we want to do Oogum Boogum at this event or whatever, you know, we'll learn it. Bam. That was not always a luxury. Matter of fact, that wasn't even a luxury in the lineup right before the one with me, Barry, Russ, and Malcolm. So, yeah. All right, sweetheart, what do we got next?
Nate Gillis wants to know who is in the Blowfly poster in the background.
Who is in the Blowfly poster? Well, that's me and Blowfly. Who else would it be? It's me and Blowfly. I have Blowfly silkscreen tour posters. Man, I've got a bunch of big silkscreen tour posters that I just need to move, man. Do you guys want to help me to put some kind of deal together that we get like a really great price on a bunch of silkscreen posters? You let me know.
All right, Tony Anderson said that he booked you guys with the Murder Junkies in St. Petersburg, Florida, Club Venom, many years ago.
I remember that show.
He said the show was packed, ended by police because of a riot and a few stabbings. Do you recall that show?
Yeah.
That sounds like a good story. I've never heard.
Yeah, that was of all my of all the shows I did with the Murder Junkies, that was the craziest, man. It was like...
Tell us about it.
There's just some shows, man, like, you know, I don't know if you guys remember me telling you about the show we did in Atlanta at the place called Dottie's, where it just, man, the tension was in the air, man. It was just in the air. You know, every band is getting a little rougher. And then by the time we came on, and ANTiSEEN, you know, they start tearing the fucking tiles out of the ceiling. It's like in the old TV shows when they have a sign that says applause and everyone's it's like
tear shit up,
like fight. Oh, boom, boom, boom. And it's like, I mean, they came on the stage. Barry had to walk around from the drum set and smack somebody. But that show with the Murder Junkies, man, that was insanity. I mean, and you're right. Venom was packed, and it just seemed like from the moment we walked on the stage, all it was just mayhem. And no one really fucked with us. I don't recall, but yeah, there was ambulances, cops, gangs of people fighting other gangs of people. It was
Nude Dino.
Well, there's always a nude Dino. I mean, goddamn. If the drummer wasn't naked, how'd you know it was a murder junkie? Oh yeah, Merle. What's next?
Bobby Gunstrom wants to know if there will be writing a second Destructo Maximus.
Well, you know, in 3 years, we'll be at 40 years. And from the time Destructo Maximus came out till the 40-year mark, that's how long of time, like, Destructo Maximus was our first 20 years. So, man, I'm thinking we need to do something for the next 20 years, right?
Anybody volunteer to do it?
Well, I've actually talked to Mark Rainey at TKO about doing something. It won't be the outing that we did with Destructo Maximus, because man, I still got a shitload of those. As a matter of fact, if you guys order Destructo Maximus, you can treat Break On Through like one of those records that we all had when we were kids, when it goes bing and you turn the page, you know, and you can look at what we're talking about. You got anything else over there?
I don't think I've forgotten anybody. Yeah, that's why I put, come on, more questions.
Let me see the other side. No, not that. Oh, okay, we already went through all that. Have I ever seriously injured myself with a barbed wire bat? Ever consider? Man, I've hit myself so hard sometime that I didn't get the desired effect, but it sure did knock me loopy for a minute, you know, or knock me off balance, but never got seriously injured from it. I guess the only serious injuries I ever got were knee or ankle related, or cuts with glass. Glass usually if it's real fever pitch too, glass is not a good idea, because they usually you know, overdo it a little bit.
My thing's taking a minute to refresh.
Okay, well, I think I'm able to keep up. Well,
Mike Thrower wants to know about any battlefield flowers that you haven't mentioned before.
I think I pretty much covered all those, Mike.
Dave Robbins wants to know, how did you guys get on with TKO?
Interesting story. We were signed to Man's Ruin, the label that Frank Kozik was doing, and the first thing they did for us was the double. Well, it's not a double CD, but it's 2 albums on 1 CD of Southern Hostility and Eat More Possum, and like, you know, we just gave them that as something to kind of, you know, get started, you know, and we'd give them something else. And then we Kozik let the label go, you know, he was done with it. And one of the people that worked for him on the label was a lady named Jamie Wolf. And Jamie was kind of like our go-between between Frank and us, you know, and kind of got everything rolling, you know, for Man's Ruin. But she's like, you know, I hate that this happened, because, you know, we didn't have a label, and she says, I really think you should approach TKO Records out of San Francisco. And we did. And I was surprised at how quick they got back to us and how enthusiastic they were. And that was Mark Rainey, and the label was just still with to this very day. I mean, like, the ambitions he had were big from the start. He's like, man, let's reissue the entire back catalog. And that's what started the Vault of ANTiSEEN series. And Mark is also the one responsible for this, which I guess would be the third pressing of a lot of these titles. But you know, we're giving them all like the remastering, the repackaging, the bonus tracks, you know, all that stuff. So I would have to say that thanks to Jamie Wolf telling me to get in touch with Mark Rainey, and probably her giving Mark Rainey a heads up that I would be getting in touch with him, is how we got on TKO. Got some more?
Yes.
Right.
Mark Deal wants to know what it was like for you to sing Gigi lyrics with the Murder Junkies.
You know, the first time around, I really didn't give it a whole lot of thought. I just kind of did it. But I don't know. I guess when I did the 10-year anniversary tour with them, some of the stuff I had to sing from I had to sing from a different mindset. I mean, like I had to, like you know, some of that. I mean, a lot of you guys that even just know me through the band, you know, a lot of that stuff. You know, it's just not stuff I would condone or sing about and stuff like that. But I mean, you know, I had the job of being the front man for the Murder Junkies, so I did it, and I think I did it without doing a Gigi impersonation, which is not what they wanted. You know, they wanted a new singer. They didn't want a new Gigi, they wanted a new singer, and that's what I tried to give them. And I did my job. You know, I did what I was supposed to do. But yeah, it was. I guess there were times there were certain songs that might have been a little awkward. What else we got?
All right. Jerry Walker said that we share a love for Hall & Oates, and Will Tanner wanted to know if you would ever consider covering a Hall & Oates song.
Man, I do a whole album of Hall & Oates songs. Because I am the Daryl Hall of punk rock. What are you talking about?
Amos Moses? How bad do you miss Tremont?
Very. Mid-sized hall, man. You know, and just about every owner of Tremont gave us free reign. You want to have it for 2 nights? No problem. You know, that kind of stuff. And so yeah, I miss Tremont a lot. And I think the area misses Tremont a lot because there are so many bands that do not come here anymore because they don't have that size hall to play in.
Mark Triplett wants to know, have you ever done a show with Nashville Pussy?
Yeah, we played with them in L.A. And you know what, man? To their credit, their booking agent has asked us many times to tour with them, and for whatever reason, when it came up, we had to decline, and I regret it because you guys know, that an ANTiSEEN Nashville Pussy tour would be something to see. Oh yeah. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it'll happen. How many more we got?
I'm reading Brian's question, and I don't know if there's a typo or not, but it says, what's the songwriting process for The Bad?
Who means the band?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I knew that was going to come up. I guess if I'm being 100% honest, I don't do that much writing anymore. Malcolm and Barry come up with lyric ideas. But see, the thing about those guys, they write from my perspective, which is kind of what you got to do to be in this band. Mad Brother Ward, you know, writes songs from his perspective a lot, and sometimes I'm just like, man, I'm not, you know, I don't know if I'm going to do this or what, but you know, he's usually never married to his ideas. But man, Mad Brother Ward has been the one coming up with the tunes. But I think Malcolm's going to be contributing a lot of tunes here. Barry comes up with riffs. I don't really do a whole lot anymore. I may have some titles or some verses or something, and then I'll give it to one of them, and they'll help flesh it out. Sometimes we write together, you know, that way, which is kind of fun. But I don't know. You just you have to. It's not just throwing 4 chords together to get an ANTiSEEN song. You know, it's got to have a certain. You know, it's got to have a certain thing. Russ knows what that thing is. What do you got?
This Amos Moses character asked if
you was named after a man of the cloth, weren't you?
Wants to know if you ever played the Palomino Club.
Many times. Many times. Can you dig it? Many times. Saw Greg Allman there. Saw Meatloaf there. Saw Black Oak, Arkansas there. Saw Steppenwolf there.
Stuff in his complaining that you haven't played Germany or Europe in 4 years, and he's sad.
Stephen, 4 years. Oh, it's only maybe a little longer than that. I don't know, but Stephen, man, we're gonna come back. Here's the thing, you know, at the end of Malcolm's broadcast, he always tells you, you know, we are for hire. But here's the thing, though. Even if what has happened to our country and the world hadn't happened, we were still going to be cutting back quite a bit. And that's why he says we're not a cheap date, and we're not. But you might be surprised at how affordable we are. Now, the man, he can't stop us from playing your basement or your living room. Hell, if you got a PA there and some equipment, man, ANTiSEEN can be had.
Zach Hembry wants to know what your favorite Black Oak, Arkansas record is.
Keep the Faith. That's my favorite Black Oak record. I think that, you know, there was a time when I read every single thing I could find on these guys. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to lead into something. Please remind me that I said reading something about Black Oak, Arkansas. They said that that record was kind of pretty much written while they were on tour, and you know, and that's one of them bands that in their early career, man, they toured and they played everywhere with everybody. And the songs, like the stuff they did, they pretty much did it right off the road, and man, that's the best recording of Jim Dandy's voice ever. And if you even hear the good, you know, the current recordings, Jim's voice is still real good. But man, that Keep the Faith, that's it. You know, that's it. That's classic Jim Dandy right there. Oh, a little bit of ANTiSEEN trivia. The title of Honor Among Thieves comes from an interview I saw with Jim Dandy in Kerrang! Magazine. It was the cover that looked like Nevermind the Bollocks. And this had to be 84 or 85. And Jim Dandy was, you know, talking about the things they take from this band, or they take from this influence, or they take from this. You know, he's been talking about it's all just honor among thieves, you know, and I was just like, bing! Album title! And a friend of mine named Andy Miller, who I think is here, he saw Jim Dandy one time and told him, hey, there's this group that, you know, kind of that we know plays punk rock that kind of rips off your thing with the scrub board. And Andy said he just kind of laughed and said, well, that's fine. I ripped it off from somewhere too, you know, so there you go. Honor Among Thieves was a quote from old Jim Dandy.
Brian Russell wants you to come back to Roanoke for a private thing, all expenses paid.
Get in touch with Malcolm Tent. That's what you do. You get in touch with Malcolm Tent. He'll tell you the ups and downs, the all arounds, and when we're available.
David Preno wants to know if you were involved with 13 Dead Things.
Yeah, that was one of them things that, you know, when you have some time and there's some people that you want to work with, but you know you don't want to have 14 people in your band. You start a little thing. We only played in Charlotte. It was fun. We played with it was me and my brother with 3 other guys that were good close friends of ours that we just Charles Inman was part of that. We just wanted to make music with them, you know, and have a little bit of fun. We never recorded anything. Who's next?
Steve Butts wants to know if you have contact with Alan G.D. King or any other of the COS folks.
All of them. Still talk to all of them. Still love them all.
Amos Moses wants to know what metal shows did you attend in Charlotte during the late 80s and 90s?
Oh, good gosh, man. Why does everyone ask me about metal, man? Y'all think I'm like Metal Man or something? Man,
that was just an interesting, you know, two kind of opposite, seemed opposite at the time. Things kind of collided there, you know, in the 90s. And a lot of the punk bands kind of took that metal turn too. So it was just kind of fascinating. I guess they're interested in your take since, you know, that was...
Well, you know, I liked... I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. I like a lot of that stuff, man. I love early Venom. I like the new wave of British heavy metal stuff. And you know, I've worked security for a lot of black metal bands, and I can't sit and listen to a lot of that, but the shows are fun. You know, the shows are a blast. You know, and it was. Yeah, I worked security for Watain, Behemoth, 1349 or 1869 brand biscuit. I don't know what they were called, but it was a date, and you know, those shows are fun. I see why kids like it. I guess if I was, you know, 15, 16-year-old, I'd be eating that shit up, you know.
Well, we can pivot to Adam Wolf's question when he asked, "Tell a Pappy or a Uncle GD story."
Man, I'm gonna have to save some Uncle Goddamn and some Pappy stories for a different day. You can't just drop in a Pappy story when we're getting ready to wrap up. Did ANTiSEEN ever tour with Spoets? No. And you can't just start on Uncle Goddamn and Pappy, man. That's something that I told my buddy Captain Catastrophe. I said, man, it's amazing. Not just the members of the band and the different lineups of the band, but the fucking cast of characters that orbited around us. And us around them throughout this whole thing, man. It's like, he's like, man, you ought to do a thing just on that. And you know, I may just do just that very thing very soon. Uncle Goddamn and Pappy. Legends. We got anything else in?
Brad Mullins wanted any Michael Bruce stories. So these are short answers.
Yeah, Brad, that's going to come when I start talking about the making of Here to Ruin Your Groove, and that is a great story. Again, Brad, thank you for this stand. It's a lifesaver. I don't know why I can't do this sideways like I did last week, but it ain't got nothing to do with this stand, I'm sure. But you know what? I guess we got to stop the questions now. I guess I'm gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, because Bruce was wanting to know 3 biggest assholes you've met in the wrestling business. That sounds like a story too.
3 biggest assholes in the wrestling business. Yeah. Bruce, I'd have to stop and think about that for a little bit. Now, you want to talk about assholes in the music business, I could rattle off on that. But, yeah, I'll cover that at some point. But, okay, here's what I got for you. Thursday, May 14th, that's this coming Thursday. Tom O'Keefe will have a show right here. Well, now, it's time for the big news. Is anybody else coming in here? Maybe y'all can spread the big news. But I'm going to tell you something. Soon. And when I say soon, I don't mean July. I don't mean the end of June. I mean sooner. Sooner than mid-June. ANTiSEEN is going to play live here on Break On Through. Now I'm going to tell you something. It ain't going to be a phone in our practice place where it sounds like shit just kind of, we messed up. You know, we ain't going to do none of that. It's going to be an ANTiSEEN show. When I say ANTiSEEN show, I mean it's going to be fast. It's going to be hard. There's going to be sweat. There is going to be blood. There will be blood. There's going to be fire, explosions, destruction, and a set list like you ain't never, ever, ever heard. And it's going to be a 4 to 5 to maybe 6 camera shot. Pro sound. We're going through a mixing board with a sound engineer mixer. We're going to get all of it ready for you. We're going to tell you what time it's going to be live. We don't know what date yet. We're probably going to do it on a weekend. Would you rather have it on a weekend? You want it on a Friday night or a Saturday night? Or do you want it during the weeknight? Do you want it something to break the work week up? Let us know. Say something on here after we sign off. Let us know. But I'm telling you, it's going to be it's going to be better than being there. You know why? Because you can go to your own bathroom. And it won't smell like a fucking Subway.
Yeah, but we want to get to see each other.
But you can go get you some chips. You can go get you some beer. You can be a real man. It's going to happen. This Wednesday.
All that hollering makes me thirsty.
Yeah. This Wednesday, me and my cabinet are going to meet.
Ooh, Sunday matinee. That sounds good.
We're going to meet at the round table. We're going to go over our war plans. We'll have you a date. And you know what else? It's going to be free. But I am going to ask for you to please make some donations to our PayPal. Like the week before and maybe the night of. Because we're going to have to hire a crew to do all this. It's not going to be free for us. But man, we're going to bring the hostility to you. Brutusville is going to be knocking on your door. ANTiSEEN is going to be on your phone, on your big smart TV. And it's going to be live, and we ain't going to pull no punches, and we ain't going to put it in low gear. It's going to be high gear all the way. It's going to happen. And I will have the information ASAP. I would like to thank my beautiful wife for assisting me today. I could have never wrote down all those questions.
It was fun.
I'll have her back. Matter of fact, I'll get her to tell some stories. She knows some good ones. This woman has been in love with me since she was 17 years old.
Yes, I have indeed.
How can she resist?
I love it. Everybody go eat some dinner. And we love you guys, and we appreciate you tuning in and supporting us. It means the world to us. We feel like we have family worldwide, and we love each and every one of you.
Thanks for the support, guys. And remember, I'll be back Tuesday, 5 o'clock, where we will continue to break on through to the other side.